Tokyolive
Tokyolive
Endoscopy
Endoscopy
1.
1.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I just like to introduce, firstly, I think myself, and then later on my co-chair. So I'm Lawrence Ho from the National University of Singapore. I'm really honored today, obviously, because I am co-chairing with Professor Inoue, who everybody knows. He's actually the course director of this current session, which is the Tokyolive Endoscopy 1. And as we all know him, I think he's the pioneer of many innovative tools. And today is also about technology. So I think he's professor, chairman, Digestive Disease Center, Showa University Hospital. So I think this session is actually quite special because it's about telemedicine from Asia to the rest of the world. Obviously, I think now we are going through COVID. So telemedicine certainly has come to the forefront. And we are very privileged to be able to have very distinguished panel of speakers. I think I'm also very privileged to be able to have the pioneer of this so-called TEMDEC with us tonight or today. So TEMDEC stands for the Telemedicine Development Center of Asia. I believe that it aims to improve medical communication among Asian countries. I think for today, we are also hoping this aim can be extended beyond Asia. Okay, not only in terms of improvement, but also to make sure that I think communication is consistent. So I think with that, I'm going to just stop the opening and pass the session on to Professor Inoue, who is going to introduce our first speaker. Professor Inoue, please.
Yeah, Lawrence. So thank you so much. So great opening. And it's my great honor to introduce our first speaker. So Dr. Shuji Shimizu. So everybody knows him. He's a founder of the TEMDEC. And so I think so before COVID, so he has already organized this great system. Then so now the COVID pandemic situation, so we can use this very well-established telemedicine. So thanks to Shimizu Sensei, and then I would like to introduce him. And please get started your lecture.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and it is great pleasure and even surprising for me that Professor Inoue organized this special session with the name of our center in this great Tokyolive seminar. So could you start my presentation file?
It is my great pleasure and honor to have a chance to talk on a telemedicine activity today. Now we have worked with over 1,300 of institutions in 82 countries and organized more than 1,500 of programs. During the last 2 decades, I have learned that there are 3 key factors for the success. First, the needs, and second, the access, and third is skills, and they are doctors' needs, internet, and engineering skills. Let me explain them one by one. The first is doctors' needs. As you see here, there are a variety of contents we are working with, and the endoscopy is number 1 by 29%, and the surgery number 2 with 16%. The very first live demonstration was surgery in 2003 between Korea and Japan, when endoscopic surgery for gastric cancer was newly introduced, and there was a big demand for education. ERCP was also an attractive procedure because it required quite demanding skills and there are lots of points to learn. Early gastric cancer is always one of the popular programs for us, both in diagnosis and treatment. And this program started between Japan and China in 2007. New clinical equipment and procedures have been developed and introduced one after another. This slide shows EUS and ESD live demonstration when we first connected to Europe together with Asian countries. Next, the internet access. With the emergence of internet in 1990, we tried teleconference, but the result was very poor in image quality due to internet immaturity. On the other hand, satellite was relatively good, but we could not use it in daily basis because of high cost. The situations dramatically changed in 2002 when FIFA World Cup was co-hosted between Korea and Japan. Busan and Fukuoka were connected with huge internet, which enabled us to start the practical telemedicine with high-quality image transmission using personal computers. Because these big broadband internet cables were established soon around Asia and beyond, we could expand our activities all over the world. This is the first live surgery from Japan to South Africa in 2011, 14,000 kilometers away each other. This is an endoscopy teleconference with Latin America, successfully started in 2013. Many countries like Bolivia, Costa Rica, Colombia, Mexico, Chile, Brazil are in this slide. The third factor is engineer's skill. One of the essential technologies for us was DVTS, which made our teleconference become possible and expand widely around the globe, especially to developing countries. But technologies change fast. For the first 7-8 years, DVTS was only technology which satisfied us, but in about a decade later, new systems called video or H323 replaced it. And in 2020, with COVID-19, our system totally changed to Zoom. To keep up this technological development, training of engineering people in medical colleges and hospitals is quite important. So we have organized lots of hand-trained training programs in various countries. And in parallel, we started what we called a domestic workshop, where we invited both doctors and engineers together to make them sit in a safe table and share the information, such as what doctors' needs are or how engineers can support them. We used to say that history of telemedicine is that what was impossible yesterday is barely achievable today and becomes routine tomorrow. But tomorrow has come, and telemedicine is now a routine practice and has become a part of our life. We do expect a new stage for you to create.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Shimizu Sensei. Great talk and beautiful photos. And we learned a lot. So when you start this project at the time, so I also remember a little bit. So used to be a satellite. So satellite is image is so, but extremely expensive. So gradually switching, and then finally COVID. So yeah, you also mentioned that the APAN. APAN also works well for us. So thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Sensei.
you.
Great
Thank
talk.
you.
Yeah. So we have a discussion at the end of this session.
Okay, sure.
So Lawrence.
Okay, so thanks, Haru. So next, I would like to introduce the second speaker. He is none other than Dr. Nagi Reddy, who everybody knows. He's the chairman of the Asian Institute of Gastroenterology in Hyderabad. So I think I just look at his CV, full of awards. I think most impressively is his latest award, the Rudolf Singler Award. I think that must be one of the hardest to get by ASG last year, in fact, 2021. So he's going to share with us the second topic, which is on the India and TEMDEC. So Nagi, please.
Haru, I think I'd like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to take part in this very important telemedicine symposium. And as you all know, the telemedicine is going to revolutionize what we're going to do by medical teaching, education, and also, I think, treatment also. So the Telemedicine Department Center of Asia and AIG had a long relationship, especially with India also. And what I'm going to do over the next 6 minutes is to try and cover what happened, how this actually evolved. So let me start first by how it actually happened and start with it. Till about 2008, the internet connectivity in India was in a very nascent stage. Less than 5% of the population was covered. As we went on, you can see now almost 30% of the population and up to 50% of the population is now covered by internet. It was at this stage that Professor Shimuju, who was very passionate about telemedicine, actually we had a meeting with him, and in 2009 he introduced us to this concept of TEDMEC. At AAG, we were already using some older type of equipment for telemedicine technology with the help of our Indian Space Research Organization. But at that point of time, TEMDEC actually introduced us to the new equipment. Not only equipment, but TEMDEC also gave the training that was provided to engineers to make a significant impact in our remote care programs. Just to tell you the background, our vans is to go to all the villages around India, and from there we used to do not only treatment, but telemedicine transmission of procedures back to the hospital. It was here that TEMDEC technology helped us a lot to make it much better quality. In fact, AAG Hospital became the first institution in India to get associated with TEMDEC with definitive objectives of leveraging telemedicine for remote patient care that we're doing at that time, to use latest video audio technologies for enhanced communication during medical conferences, and also to spread the awareness of telemedicine usage of remote video-based solutions across the geography. And this was what the initial connection was. Since then, TEMDEC network in India grew significantly, covering other institutions. For example, Central Institute in Pondicherry called JIPMER, Chennai, Shankar Nethralaya in Chennai, and ILBS in Delhi and Pune. All these institutions were linked through TEMDEC, and whenever we had conferences, we could talk to all of them. Of course, you can see here that this was an older equipment that we initially started with from TEMDEC, and you can see that it was based on a technology which now, of course, has become redundant. But for us, at that point of time, it was extremely useful to have this type of equipment for general transmission. And we participated in several meetings and workshops using this. Of course, later on now, over the period of time, with evolving technology, TEMDEC has adapted to change quickly and translated the newer available technology to help further the cause of telemedicine. In India too, we started using less complex equipment with better broadcast quality, so that I can say nowadays when we do this broadcast, the quality is almost equivalent to what we see in terms of HD. Now, in 2002, I think with the help of Professor Moriyama, we actually did the Endo 2022, and I think Haru will remember that we transmitted from AAG hospital to a center in Kyoto Conference Center of many procedures. I think over a one-day transmission was done flawlessly, and this was thanks to TEMDEC and Professor Moriyama that we could do this, where several interesting procedures were transmitted. We've also been involved in Asia Medicine Telemedicine Symposium in 2021, which was the Telemedicine Symposium post-COVID era, where I think there was a lot of discussion going on how telemedicine is becoming very important, especially in the post-COVID era. Our academic collaboration has grown over the years, with the last version of ATS being conducted in association with AAG hospitals. And over a period of time, we have conducted several meetings. We actually have a monthly meeting where several hospitals with APAN are connected together to have this concept. This APAN concept also, I think, is one of a remarkable achievement that has occurred with TEMDEC, where we are able to connect several medical practitioners and engineers together on a joint platform to give rise to some very interesting concepts that are going on with seamless connection. I think the potential is huge. In fact, today, medical and health technologies are at the forefront of innovation. TEMDEC can play a huge role in training the engineers to latest telemedicine equipment, and TEMDEC can collaborate with the Indian universities to come up with new and innovative student programs that can focus on next generation telehealth equipment like remote monitoring device. This is very important. Now we are seeing and treating the patient, but in future, we can actually do remote monitoring of blood pressure, blood sugar, and so on. I think this is going to become very important. There's a large number of engineering graduates in India, and only 2.5% of them succeed in getting jobs. I think, in conclusion, this is a new age telehealth solutions that TEMDEC and AAG together. Of course, India as a country is huge, can come together with both medical and engineering staff participating in this. And I think we see a great future in this. And again, I'm extremely grateful to TEMDEC for all that they have done for Indian telehealth solutions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nagi. Great talk. You are covering the very beginning of the TEMDEC. So you're both co-working. So it's a great talk. And then would you now I think India is very advanced in ICT. So yeah, actually rapidly advanced. So would you have some suggestion for us the further extension of the TEMDEC or ICT?
Yes. Thank you, Haru. I think that's a very important question. I think, as you can see, there's a huge potential in India. At present, only a very few hospitals are connected. There is a large number of engineering students, and the technology that TEMDEC has, I would request Dr. Moriyama whether actually they can come in a larger way into India, connect more hospitals. There is both government and private hospitals which can be connected. So tele-education and tele-treatment, tele-monitoring can become extremely large in a country which needs it. Thank you very much.
So Moriyama Sensei, would you have some comment on it?
Okay, thank you, Nagi, for your nice comment and the presentations. It's really important to connect more hospitals to reduce medical inequality among the countries and also among the areas. So we believe that, I suppose we should more announce the effect of and the effectiveness of telemedicine activity to other hospitals and other countries. So then I suppose they will find us and we can include them, and we can do a more fruitful discussion, and also we can enjoy the collecting intelligence by gathering many doctors there. So I hope we would like to expand our activity to other hospitals and areas. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moriyama Sensei and Nagi. So exchange our knowledge of medicine. That is with lots of audience, that is very important. So internet is the best way to access each other. So So thank you very much your talk and the great comment, Moriyama Sensei. So thank you so much. So Nagi, do you have any other comment?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Okay, so our next speaker, I would like to introduce Dr. Philip Chu from Chinese University of Hong Kong. So he is, everybody knows well, and he's a surgeon and also as a famous endoscopist. He do lots of things. So from a robotic surgery and flexural endoscopic surgery. So, and also he's a key person of AMBIC project or some other telemedicine. So Philip, please start your talk.
Thank you so much for the kind invitation. So I'm talking about the TEMDEC and the relationship with Hong Kong and also CHK medicine. So I think the Asia Pacific Advanced Network has been established since 20 years ago by the leadership of Professor Sumisu, and we are truly honored to be one of the center that joined the APAN network very early since the year 2000. So you can see in this roadmap that Hong Kong is one of the place. And we have enjoyed a lot of activity related to APAN that include the really early Asian Telemedicine Symposium that one of our speakers here in the year 2008 is Professor Anderson from our team. And the CU Medicine Endoscopy have also been leveraging on the use of the APAN network in the live case demonstration, case teleconferences, and also recently in the research participation of this multi-center feasibility study for the gastric cancer epidemiological study being led by Professor Kechi Yao, and we are one of the team joining this research project. And talking about the future of connectivity, I think one of the major specialized area that Hong Kong has been developing is actually 5G connectivity. And I believe that the 5G connectivity will be enhancing the connection with different healthcare specialty. And in this summary of the 5G use case, published, and in fact, one of the areas is in fact remote surgery, healthcare monitoring that are very closely related to us, especially in the virtual reality and augmented reality. So this is a recent Nature publication, and one of the authors is Professor Bradley Nelson, who is our collaborator. He in fact laid out the development of connectivity within the operating theater. The conventional operating theater is surrounded by operator, including surgeons and nurses, and anesthetists. And when we are looking into the introduction of a robotic surgery, then the surgeon is actually a bit away from the patient, sitting on the surgeon console to control the robot. And with this improvement in the connectivity using 5G in the OR, we might be seeing the future state-of-the-art contactless robotic OR. And of course, telesurgery may be including tele-mentoring, tele-robotic surgery, and telecommunication. So it's not only about teleoperation. In fact, the element of teleoperation would be much less or useful as compared to tele-mentoring and telecommunication that include telepromptering, telestration, and also teleassistant. So we can also see that there is an increasing potential of this telecommunication thanks to the development of the APAN, and there has been the increasing number of live surgery being demonstrated, and to the extent of tele-training, tele-mentoring. And with the increasing speed of the 5G, I think there will be real disruption in remote surgery so that experts can in fact help and assist complex procedure using robotic system thousands of kilometers away without any delay. So tele-mentoring has been introduced since year 1996, where a telementoring rural surgeon reported by this study on 900 cases of laparoscopic herniorrhaphy. And telestration has also been developed with software and allowing 2D or 3D image visual aids. And this is again one of the possibility demonstrated by this system of telementoring in pediatric surgery, which the kind of expert in the field is in fact really limited. I think this is a clinical indication for a potential application of telementoring, where the specialty or the expertise is really limited, and that there's an early phase of adoption of this technology worldwide, then perhaps this system, including like a robotic driven system with a telementoring facility over the mobilized robot, will be one of the key in telestration. And this is one of our example, so that we actually conduct a clinical trial for the Endomaster EC system for performance of colorectal ESD. So if you look into this video, in fact, this is one of the world's first flexible robotic system in performance of robotic endoscopic submucosal dissection in the colon, developed from the Nanyang Technological University and National University of Singapore. And so after a preclinical study, we are really confident that this can be applied to clinical. So in May 2020, we started this study. So if you look into the timing, then you know that this study was started during the COVID pandemics. And that makes a lot of limitation because the technology is from Singapore. So no engineer can actually fly to Hong Kong to support the system. And even if they can fly to here, so no engineering staff can actually be entering into the clinical area. So we actually rely heavily on the tele-mentoring and also tele-monitoring. So we can see there are many cameras that would allow us to communicate. So when I'm operating here, this screen is one of the screens, including the operating screen, and also the screen on the system will be transmitted to Singapore for a potential support from the engineering and also the Endomaster company people. So in future, I think 5G will be able to combine and allow us to have AR, VR, image-guided, minimally invasive, and robotic surgery. So combining all these specialty, including imaging, robotic sensing, surgery, AI, 5G, AR, VR, and operating theater, anesthesia, and healthcare industry, we will look into the potential firstly of the system integration, and then precision-guided surgery, and then in the future, a smart OR. So our imagination in the future, maybe just 5 to 10 years onward, that might be seeing a lot of this contactless robotic OR or endoscopic robotic system being performed for treatment of GI diseases. And so that's obviously an imaginary process of even operating in the OR within the space shuttle or the space station. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Great talk. Your lecture really made me think of Back to the Future in endoscopy. Appreciated.
Okay, so I have a pleasure of introducing our next speaker, who is Dr. Rang San. People know him. Very famous doctor from Thailand, Bangkok. So I think Rang San is the professor of medicine and also the chief of division of gastroenterology. Recently, he's, I think they have set up this center of excellence for innovation endoscopy in GI oncology in Chulalongkorn. And he has become the director of this center of excellence. So obviously, I think center of excellence for innovation, I think he's really, suitable to talk to us on this topic, which is Thai and TEMDEC. So Rang San, please.
Thank you very much, Lawrence, for a very kind introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Professor Inouye and the team, and I'm happy to join this live endoscopy on screen third time. So I'm happy to share my memory with the team. Let me put up my slide. Can you see my slide now? So this is my great memory with the team. If you think COVID is something that we require a vaccine, I think Professor Shimizu, part of his work is to jab me a vaccine for the teaching in telemedicine. In early year, I can guess and go back like more than 15 years ago when we were so young. This is a picture taken in Chiang Mai when we probably first met in Thailand, but actually I have met him in Japan many times before we able to invite him to join us, and we were in something like shopping in Chiang Mai. So it was a great memory there. So there's a long history with the team in Asia Pacific. We went for the elephant ride, so many things. So let's tell you that what we got started with the Asian Telemedicine ATS in Fukuoka. At that time, I didn't know that we can give a lecture online, because at that time the system was not ready. We did not have, I think in Thailand at that time it was only 2G. So it's not possible to do anything with the mobile system, even to the internet, that I didn't know that what is the precise speed to do this thing. And we rely mainly on the university internet like DVTS. If I'm not wrong, that it at least would be more than 30 megabytes per second, something like that. But this day we can do it faster with the system with only 5G. And as he mentioned that to us to do the live demonstration, it costs us a lot because we have to rent the satellite system. And with this, we start learning about how to use this thing more efficient and in less cost. So finally, we eager enough to have the Asian Telemedicine meeting in Bangkok. At that time was 7th time of ATS meeting. And then we were doing some research in terms of how things can be done. And we got a few publications. And I think this is something that very special, and it's a good benchmark for those who want to go and see the history and how things run. And finally, we had done the Endoscopy Club conference. I think it started from Professor Dong Wan So and passed this thing to me, and later to George Ho, and then to my junior colleague Parit. And this thing had been running for more than 30 conferences already by this time. So this is some of memory that we had when we were young, and the meeting was our first step. I think I joined the team in 2005. So by now it's almost 18 years. And this is a picture taken in Sirat Hospital, Mahidol University. We brought everyone taking picture before we went to the meeting, and everything we plan to make and utilize the system as much as possible. But as a doctor, we never trained for this, so it's a great the things to do with the engineer, and we learn a lot from them, and they are way behind the scene and helping us. So this is the team from India, and we came to this hospital. At that time, even we had Professor Fabian, who's the BO president, joined us, and we had a great time together. And move on to even the 9 one in Korea. I think we had this. So this is the picture from long times ago when Professor Nip Sohendra came to Thailand in our very old unit. And at that time, we first started using non-satellite, the broadcasting. And I think at that time, it was the first time that we did a hybrid. So we have on-site, broadcasting to the auditorium in Thailand, but also people from not around the world, but as far as possible regarding to the time difference can watch it live at that time. So at that time, we didn't know what's the use for this one. But lately, since the COVID came, this is something that we have been vaccinated very well. So we performed this, and this year we will be our 20 consecutive year in memory as the anniversary, and start from basic and everything. So just show you that how the things work, and we believe that this is a great platform. and with less expensive amount of money to spend compared to previously. Every time in Thai baht, it's very expensive, at least 1 million baht per day if you want to do live endoscopy course, but this day probably cheaper than that. So this is the latest one coming up next month. I just want to announce that this time we will have the faculty. We invited many of them around the world, but of course only a few can come because of still some restriction. But as you can see that it's easy this day to arrange this thing, and they can join us from their hometown online and have the live lecture. That is the preparation, the technical team that helped us a lot. But this day, I think the equipment is already installed in the system. We did not have to have this so many computer on top, just only 1 or 2 screen, and actually we can do the show almost at any time we want, almost every month. This is a great show to my belief. This is a high quality picture in the auditoriums, and of course we enjoy our meeting, invited many of our friends from neighboring country. And the new thing, I think George probably will introduce this a little bit later, that we before COVID we had started the Endoscopy Club e-conference that we think is a good platform for our junior to learn. We usually suggest one or few topics that last for 90 minutes and invite about 5 or 6 expert or center to either giving a lecture or perform the live endoscopy, or even the good video record system. And I think this is the way that we can enjoy the technical skill or using or utilize this system much more better than once in a while. Even lately, I just went to Hanoi last month. I could go to Vietnam, but a few of our the speaker could not join, so they joined us remotely, and we able to perform lecture and even the live endoscopy through the hybrid system. So this is a great platform that I would thanks once again for TEMDEC and the team, especially Professor Shimizu and Moriyama now, that give us a great vaccine that we well trained and ready for this thing. But even this thing will go away. We will continue and utilize this system even more, and this for sure for easy conference, and we will use this platform for standard webinar or as a hybrid with the Asia Pacific Digestive Endoscopy Society and World Endoscopy Organization. And of course, we are ready to expand to our neighboring country. Thank you for your kind attention.
Oh, thanks for this excellent talk. A lot of pictures and very nice memories about what happened. So we will do the discussion later on for Dr. Ransan's reflection on, I think the evolution is really a walkthrough about, I think, over the years, what's been happening for telemedicine. Certainly, we have seen a lot of improvement over the time. Okay. So I'm going to ask maybe I think Professor Inoue to introduce Dr. Ho.
Yes. So Lawrence, sir, thank you so much. So let's move on to the next talk. So it's our pleasure to introduce Xiao Ho, Dr. Ho from Malaysia. So he is from a university, professor of a University of Malaya. And he is a council member of APSDE. So he also organized many things. So Dr. Ho, please start your lecture.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Professor Inoue, for your kind introduction and for your kind invitation for me to speak in this special symposium. Same goes to Dr. Moriyama. Thank you for inviting me as well. Allow me to share my lecture. Okay. Let me click next one. I'll bring you through some of the timeline of Malaysian collaborations with TEMDEC. Now let's look at how we first collaborated with TEMDEC, starting from the medical working group. I'm sure Professor Shimizu mentioned some of this just now. The involvement of Malaysian team with TEMDEC has to start from this working group called the APAN Medical Working Group, which was formed in August 2005. And it was chaired by Professor Shimizu at that time, and now by Dr. Moriyama. I'm really honored to be part of the board members in this group as well. At around the same time as the formation of Medical Working Group, the Malaysian Research and Educational Network was formed. It was established in 2005 as well, spearheaded by the Ministry of Higher Education. It links all the public university, private university, all colleges, and a few large teaching hospitals throughout Malaysia. I'm sure the list of connecting institutions has already outgrown what was shown in this diagram taken a few years ago. Malaysia involvement with the Medical Working Group started actually in 2007 when University of Malaya was invited by Myron to take part in a medical teleconference organized by the 24th APAN Medical Working Group meeting in Xi'an, China. My colleague, the late Professor Salim Omar, had the opportunity to view a live surgery and ESD procedures from Korea and Japan, respectively. That sparked intense interest, and he became the first doctor to champion this type of educational telemedicine in my hospital. And subsequently, we became a regular participant and even hosted some of these activities. I was also influenced by the various advanced endoscopy procedures shown and went on to receive further training in ESD procedure in Japan. Here are some of the examples of our previous participation in APAN endoscopy meeting. Shown here was the APAN 2010 in Vietnam. In this meeting, we achieved successful connection using the DBTS Plus teleconference system. In this slide, you could see Professor KL Goh and Professor Salim chairing the sessions. Here's another slide on our involvement in APAN endoscopy meeting in 2011. We achieved successful connection with DBTS teleconferencing system. Also shown here are all the key opinion leader in endoscopy. Moving on to ECE group, as mentioned by Professor Rangsen just now. This was due to the expansions of GI endoscopy related teleconference. As you can see from here, over the last 1.5 decades, we witnessed a tremendous increase in endoscopy related teleconference. And this graph illustrated the number of activity increased easily by tenfold in a space of a decade from 2005 to 2015. The reason for this was believed to be due to the rapid development in the field of diagnostic and therapeutic endoscopy in recent years. And furthermore, endoscopy procedure is relatively short and easy to be demonstrated over AV transmission during teleconference. So in order to cope with the expansions of endoscopy teleconference, a special interest group called the Endoscopy Club E-Conference or ECE was formed. It was set up in May 2014 to cater for the demand, and it allowed arrangement of meeting outside the framework of the bi-yearly APAN meeting. And EC was listed as one of the special interest group in the Medical Working Group SIG list. Since the formation in 2014, we held many meetings, and the typical number of participating centers ranged from 10 to 20 centers. And at some meeting, we even almost hit 30 centers. This was our first meeting held on 27 May 2014. And this was our second meeting on 23rd July 2014. I'm sure you could see some familiar faces here. Ranson was here, Professor Reddy was here. And our membership increased year by year, and by early 2020, we had about 54 members. And due to my busy schedule lately, I'm thankful for Dr. Pari from Chulalongkorn University, who is very capable and has done a better job than me in organizing various activities for the EC group since 2020. I would like to record a word of thanks to him and also the Chulalongkorn team led by Professor Rangsen over here. Now, TEMDEC and APAN KL. As you all know, that APAN is a biannual physical event. It was Malaysia's turn in 2015, and we hosted the 40th APAN with a physical venue in University of Malaya. This EC meeting was held in conjunction with the APAN meeting in KL. And AIG also held another endoscopy teleconference on different day. This slide shows some of the photos taken during the AIG sessions. So apart from endoscopy, our Malaysian hepatobiliary surgeons were also active in the HPB group led by Professor Ho Seong Han from Seoul National University Bundang Hospital. And you can see from here on the top image from left to right were Professor Boon Kun Yong from University of Malaya, Professor Ho Seong Han from Seoul National University Bundang Hospital, and Dr. Jin Bong Jan from Sunway Medical Center. The engineering group led by Dr. Kuriko Kudo also held the engineering sessions. In this slide, you could see Mr. Zahir, who is the current director of the IT department in my hospital. He is also leading the engineering team in the medical working group. Apart from the APA medical working group, TEMDEC was also involved in some of the biannual Malaysian endoscopy, in the annual Malaysian endoscopy workshop. Shown here was one of our examples of such collaboration in the year 2014. With the help of TEMDEC, we were able to connect to 6 international endoscopy centers during the annual endoscopy workshop. And the workshop was well attended by more than 500 participants. We also held the annual Asia Telemedicine Symposium in 2017. ATS, for your information, is a physical meeting of the APA Medical Working Group. So the theme for that meeting was applications of educational telemedicine in teaching hospital. The above 2 images showed the pre-congress tour to visit some of the large hospitals in Kuala Lumpur. The lower 2 images show the talk given by Professor Shimizu and the hall which was packed with audience. We had wonderful workshop dinner as well, and we ended having dessert by eating the king of fruits in Malaysia, which is called the durian. Lastly, TEMDEC also played a major role in the recent APDW, which we organized in August 2021. As you are aware, the APDW 2021 was the first ever virtual APDW, and hopefully it will be the last. So in this APDW, TEMDEC assisted Showa University Koto Toyosu Hospital from Tokyo, Japan, to achieve live transmission of the endoscopy procedures. And Dr. Moriyama and Professor Shimizu were the faculty of APDW, and Professor Shimizu delivered a lecture on remote education during COVID pandemic, unleashing the full potential of telemedicine. Here are some of the wonderful photos I took with the TEMDEC team at Kyushu University in 2016. It was an unforgettable time of my life, and I hope our journey with TEMDEC will continue on. Thank you, TEMDEC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ho. So very nice talk. So I also remember very well when I visit the Malaya, and also so some nice image the last year. So the APDW, so we transmitted a live demonstration of the poem. So thank you so much. So great talk. So we have a discussion at the end. So next, please, Lawrence, introduce the next speaker.
Yeah, thanks, Haru. Last, but definitely not the least, I'm going to invite Dr. Moriyama, who actually hails from the origin, we can say the origin of the TEMDEC, Kyushu University Hospital. He is now the director of TEMDEC, so very prestigious now position to lead this initiative, very important initiative. So he's going to now share with us this topic, okay, about the future, okay, what he sees as the future extension of TEMDEC. So please, Dr. Moriyama.
Okay. Thank you for your kind introduction, and we are more than happy to have this opportunity to talk about our TEMDEC, our activities. So my talk is about the current activity of TEMDEC, and also I'd like to have a talk on our hope. Okay. All right. Okay, as many presenters mentioned, we have been keen on remote medical education. We believe that by the combination of on-site training and telemedicine, we can make the effective and sustainable education. We can learn the latest knowledge from the experts through webinar like this. And by the case discussion, we can share the experience of interesting cases or rare cases with participants. And also we are able to know the therapeutic and the diagnostic strategy through the discussion with participants. And furthermore, live demonstration is very important. Through this demo, we can learn the technique of experts. This Congress was held in 2017. At that time, the remote experts showed their amazing and miracle technique from their own hospitals, from their with their familiar members. So, and also many participants of the Congress enjoyed their technique at the main venue like this. But as you know, since early 2020, this kind of on-site training and the kind of gathering Congress should be stopped. But this accelerates virtual education training and make virtual learning real. As shown this slide, our number of trade conferences is dramatically increased like this, especially in Japan. I suppose already the foreign doctors already know its usefulness, but unfortunately, the Japanese doctor were aware of the usefulness of telemedicine due to the pandemic. And the bottom one shows the number of newly joined institutions. Like this, after the pandemic, the number of newly joined institutions has dramatically increased like this. So nowadays, many endoscopists and doctors are aware of its usefulness. At the early 2020, when the pandemic had just started in some Asian countries, we organized the International Tech Conference on COVID at 3 times. Connecting Asian countries, we discussed how to prevent medical staff from new infectious diseases. So at that time, the information of this new disease is very limited, and many participants would like to know what happened in Eastern Asian countries. So from all over the world, many participants watched our discussions and watched what happens in Asia. And also this pandemic makes the internet situation improved in every country. So now we can have this kind of remote medical education with many countries, even in developing countries, with good high quality images and audio. And also this kind of remote communication system is dramatically improved. In the past, to do a live demonstration, we should prepare many engineers and very complicated system, as Dr. Shawi Ho showed. But nowadays, we can do this live demo using one PC with one engineer or one doctor who are familiar with ICT technology. This is a photo from APDW last year. The endoscopy lab demo was held online, and many participants enjoy the technique online like this. And at Liver's point of view, we can do a live endoscopy of training to the experts. This article showed that a live endoscopy was performed from Uganda to US. So we can do kind of this technical training using telemedicine now. As you know, telemedicine is borderless. Like this, in this photo, you can see many countries. And I suppose you can see that Myanmar here, where it is very hard to reach now. And nowadays, some articles show the usefulness of e-learning system. This article shows that in this article, the authors show the usefulness of e-learning like this. So I would like to show the usefulness of telemedicine in the near future. Nowadays, so many participants learned a lot on endoscopy and gastroenterology and other fields of medicine at their home or at an institute with their own PC like this. As a hub of a telemedicine network, we would like to do a report, like an article, connecting many international institutes. And also, this is a surgical one, but a remote simultaneous teaching is now maybe available from abroad to Japan or Japan to abroad. Or also the many virtual or remote educational or diagnostic tools will be launched, and we hope to do this kind of trial or to do some communication of this new technology with you guys. Thank you for your attention.
Oh, thanks a lot. I think Dr. Moriyama for your prediction or your wish list on telemedicine. So indeed, I think we will have some discussion and also Q&A a bit later on. So maybe I'll pass over to Professor Inoue to begin the discussion session.
Let's move on to the discussion. So, thank you very much for the great talks from the 6 panelists. So now we realize the TEMDEC's worked so well to establish the telemedicine. It's we totally realize it, and actually the TEMDEC start from Asia, and then now the cover worldwide. We totally realize it. So again, so we appreciate Shimizu Sensei and Moriyama Sensei for your special work and effort to make this kind of a telemedicine a reality. And my question to all the panelists is, so at this moment already the TEMDEC or telemedicine in well established, but through your experience, do you have any suggestion or recommendation to make this telemedicine much further better? So I would like ask Dr. Ransom, would you?
Okay, I can, the answer to your question. I think this is, as I mentioned, that we're lucky that Professor Shimizu and TEMDEC and the team already give us the vaccine. So we well prepare and start from nothing. And in the past, the system was not this convenient. So the first test during my first 10 years is the system is quite cumbersome to establish. And the internet speed is also a big problem that we require the special internet broadband that provided by university only. But this day we can use the commercial one quite easily. So my project plan is now we have 5G, even going to 6G easily. So I wish in the future that the system can just put on your mobile phone and we can do this meeting at anywhere, anytime, quite easily. But still, one thing that I don't know how to fix it is the time difference among the different centers. For us who live in Asia Pacific country, we can communicate quite easily because the biggest time difference is not longer than 6 hours, starting from Australia to India. And even we can go to Europe. Let's say if we do our meeting in the afternoon, this will be their morning time, it's still okay. But for the America, I think the West Coast is okay, but I can tell you that like in September, we have to do one live demonstration to Johns Hopkins, which is the East Coast of USA. And they gave us the best time that can give is at 8 o'clock for their morning time, that will be our show start like almost 10 o'clock. So I remember that we did the same thing once before and we finished like 2 a.m. So we had to push our patient to medical floor at that time. So I don't know that Professor Chimise, Professor Inoue, could you help me that how do we cope with time difference? How do we select the time that, with the system that can select at, if we want to do at this, with this center, we should do at this time here or there. How many centers can get involved? That's just my question as well.
So time difference is the last remaining issue, I think. So could someone comment on it?
I think Professor Chimise, who travel a lot, he will know this.
Okay. So yeah, let me give you my own idea. The time difference is the only problem. We cannot, we will not be able to solve solve. So the thing is that for the conferences, there should not be it may not be such a big issue, because even with the Brazilian people who live just the opposite of the Earth, we can set up, conferences, from 8 to 9 or 7:30 to 9, in the morning in Asia, Japan, and 7:30 to 9 in Brazil. So that's not a big issue. But as you said, as you pointed out, the live demo, if you talk about the live demonstration, it could be a big problem. So, for example, the Dr. Nagi's institution, they do it all day, any time in a day. So that's an exception, I don't think it's, good for the patient, frankly speaking. But, if they allow, if a patient accepts those kind of condition, so everybody's okay, that could be done. But, in summary, the time difference is the thing we cannot solve. So that we have to, adjust, the time, for the patient's sake and our own sake, and something like that. That's my personal thinking.
One of my thinking that's like we're doing right now is a pre-recording. Sometimes it could help, but I still see the difference in quality of the voice and audio sometimes. So I don't know that what is the difference if you do PowerPoint presentation and do recording through PowerPoint or Zoom system or any other system that could help us to make it more like live, the show, things like that.
Yeah, so it's a great discussion. I think conference, talking about the conference itself, so panelists can join. So some part is at midnight. So unfortunately, but so we can accept. But the problem is a live demonstration. Live demonstration, so we care as a patient. So then of course, a hospital staff is a very difficult. So Nagi is a very special occasion. So he is very lucky, I think. But honestly speaking, for example, our hospital, it's impossible to invite the patient to a midnight surgery or midnight endoscopic treatment. It's impossible. And the hospital staff do not accept it. Of course, emergency surgery, it's okay. But scheduled treatment is impossible to organize. So I think like Ransom said that I totally agree with you. Pre-recording one of the choice. So patient part is the should be pre-recorded. One is one of the solution, and then so operator will join the using the pre-recorded video. So edited. So I think it's So it's yes, save time and so lots of benefit. And also we can demonstrate a tough case. So normally live demonstration, it's impossible. It's very difficult to invite the poor risk patient or too difficult cases. It's a very difficult, but pre-recording is done by the regular treatment basis. So we can arrange. It's a very tough case. That is one of the advantages. And also we have the, we can report the results of the treatment. So that is one of the advantages of a pre-recorded live demo. I think. So Philip, would you yes, give us some comment?
Yeah, thank you so much. And the Chinese University of Hong Kong has been using this TEMDEC technology. I think initially we have been connected for many, many years. So recently with the COVID, we found that this is truly an amazing methodology of connecting people together, even if we cannot travel. So I can give you an example that Lawrence know very well. We are doing a research project on the Endomaster robotic system. And we started the first clinical trial in the Chinese University of Hong Kong. At that time, in the year 2022, we cannot travel. So I think the engineer from Singapore is a little bit worried about how the performance of this very first robotic endoscope, but they cannot come here. So we actually connected ourselves by, field camera that the engineer in Singapore can totally monitor and support the clinical trial in Hong Kong. So without non-medical people going into a high-risk room in the era of pandemics. So I think this is a kind of change concept for us. So in the future, maybe education and training, even research and support for non-medical people can be very much connected by this technology. And secondly, in the past, we always talk about, with the 5G and the coming 6G, maybe, we can do remote surgery. And the remote surgery that was demonstrated 20 years ago through the transatlantic operation by Professor Morisco is actually the surgeon operating on a robotic system away. And the connectivity is so important. So, but then at the same time, in the future, maybe, like challenging case or new type of procedure, maybe still the operating surgeon, it's in one place who is doing the main operation, but the proctor or the leading surgeon can be in another place, being well connected. So he can actually do proctoring to that local surgeon who is doing maybe still a very expert, but doing the first or second case. But the expert do not need to fly to the place because he's in the world maybe just one or two experts. Of course, I know Professor Inoue is in the past always flying to other places to teach a poem. But think about, like a new procedure by Professor Inoue, but he don't need to fly to everywhere, but he can give his expert advice to maybe the next couple of cases or the next 10 or 20 new cases. He proctor one or two cases, and then he can continue the proctorship by connectivity. So I think it is so important. So not only the network, but the software and other device that can incorporate the use of this to enhance the connectivity around the world.
Okay, thank you so much, Philip. It's a great discussion. So Lawrence, so would you?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I think Philip also, I think he did mention he's training the other surgeons now on the Endomaster remotely on a live animal model. So I kind of want to move on. I think maybe I think we can talk a bit. Xiaohun, any comments very quickly? I think about consistency, because I think we talk about cutting edge, and maybe I kind of want to pause a bit about, I think one of the aims of TEMDEC is to make sure that I think education is a bit more equal throughout the whole world. I think there are countries which are developing. How do you see this this technology able to solve these equality issues?
Lawrence, thanks for your questions. So I think now, as Professor Shimizu has mentioned, the future is already here. I think we have very robust software system that can actually connects institution to another institution from different countries so easily. I suppose this really can help solve this inequality issue, provided that we need to actually build the bridge together. I suppose now it's not too difficult, to have, a teleconference or even journal club that we most often have weekly journal club. We can actually do it together. If this could be just coming out from the top of my head at this moment, meaning to say that we just need to get connected and do it more frequently to make full use of this existing platform. It's already very good for us to build connections.
Okay, thanks for your comment. Now I have one question for Suji and Dr. Shimizu, and another one for Dr. Moriyama. I think in terms of the training, I think it's great to sort of, I think with all this telemedicine, and there are certain limitations which we have not addressed. I think we are mostly watching the learners, because finally what you are talking about is education, isn't it? And we've got to be learner-centric, people who are learning, not we are doing. So I think if we look at objective is to focus on the learners. You see, the learners wants to do hands-on, which Philip already mentioned. I think Endomaster, they want to do hands-on. So how do you solve this for the future? We are talking about the future now. Hands-on.
Maybe Dr. Moriyama will answer that question.
Okay, Dr. Moriyama.
Okay, all right. One possible solution should be the live demo of training to the trainer. I suppose that should be the very good one. We already conducted this kind of training with Bhutan and also with Solomon Island or something with Australian team. So the live demo was, as I mentioned in my presentation, the live demo was so complicated previously that now we can do a live demo very casual. So we preparing the one PC and Zoom and the endoscopy system. It's okay. We can broadcast our procedure to the world. So once the trainee in the rural area perform their procedure at each hospital, of course, they should keep the very good internet for this and the kind of activity, but they can broadcast the technique to the expert in urban area. Then we can teach how to do, this is just blind, there should be a blind spot, or there should be a early cancer there, or we can point out when we see through the monitor.
Okay.
So this can be the one solution to establish the technique of training in remote area, I think.
Okay, that's good. So if I can just ask, I think assuming that you can do that, okay, on patients, what about models? Okay, you don't want to harm the patient, you use a model. Do you think this AR and VR technology and even the hologram technology is ready? Because you just spoke, or somebody just spoke about the future is now, you see, it's already here. So you think that AR, VR, and hologram technology can be used, and TEMDEC may be interested to explore this sort of technology. I'm talking about the high end now. So your comment or Suji's comment?
I can share you my early experience of this thing. Now
excellent.
we're doing the same thing with Stanford team and also with Roy Sotigno in USA with some AR teaching on the GI endoscopy model. He's himself in California, but our training is in the Southeast Asia. And by the time they're performing, we have the program subtracting, and he can do annotation right away on the screen, just like Zoom, but this is more, I think the same dimension to them. So just like he's standing beside them and helping them performing endoscopy, but still not as perfect as far as we can see, but we are developing that. So I think that's probably the near future.
Okay,
I can show you next.
But my question is, do you think the technology is already here? The sort of immersive technology is, my own kind of experience is the trainees need to feel it. It's an emotional connection. You think the technology is already
At least
there?
they can hear Roy whipping behind it. Here, left, right, something like that. Big view, small view. So that not that close, but we are going there. So
yeah, must feel anxious. They must feel excited when they are doing the poem or whatever.
We need a Lawrence hologram standing by my table.
Okay, so comments maybe comments from whoever I think has experience with AR, VR in
Can I have some comment?
Yeah, please.
Okay, as you mentioned, as a VR or some kind of an extended reality can be a very interesting platform to make an education without harming the patients. We can the novices can train their technique on virtual, but still this kind of technology reached to us yet, maybe, I think. So just one idea can be the learning the technique such as the rotation of the scope or back and flow or something like that, using like a gamification. And I suppose that should be the start, but still the quality of this kind of gamification of endoscopy or some other medical procedure is not enough, maybe. I suppose most of guys here are not satisfied its quality.
Okay.
So this kind of procedure should go first, and then this kind of VR or some extended reality will come to us soon, maybe.
Okay, excellent. So I think maybe the time is up now. I don't know, Haru, your call. It's 1 hour.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lawrence. So everybody, so thank you so much. It's a great discussion. So we are talking also about so starting from the beginning of TEMDEC, and then now we have several dreams talking. So 5G and the VR and the holograms. So we may have a near future. So once again, thank you so much. So Shimizu Sensei, Moriyama Sensei. And I also appreciate the co-chairs, Lawrence, and all the panelists. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for the great show.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Everyone,
Thank you.
all the speakers. Okay, have a good day.